Working with anger. Hi friends, welcome back to Voice Magic. And today I want to talk about ways that we can move through anger using energy and sound release. Now, I'm not talking about explosive anger that leads to violence, or even necessarily sacred rage. I would leave that as a separate topic. This is working with the anger that arises from certain situations that you can then give yourself a space to move through. So 2 practices for us today: the silent scream and something that I call Babble. You may have heard of the silent scream before. I want to go into a few of the layers of why it's so effective, and Babble might be a little bit new. Now, there's something about this topic that curiously brings me joy, because anger is, I think, a misunderstood energy many times. We do associate it with those extremes, but there's something so passionate, refreshing, and oftentimes necessary with anger. So let's dive into the practices. I have a bit of a confession to make. I use the silent scream probably on a monthly basis, if not more frequently. I know I have a calm demeanor, but like everyone else, I move through these waves, and the silent scream is one of my favorite ways to release energy. I do recommend working with silence. Now, if you have the opportunity to do a full vocal scream, perhaps at the beach, on a retreat, that can be deeply powerful. But I don't recommend it on a daily basis because the silent scream protects our vocal cords. And also sometimes we just don't really have the space for it. Now, why is it so precise and effective? Well, you can test it out. When we work with the silent scream, we're really activating that place where subtle body and physical body meet. So even if you just try with all your intention to tone on an ah sound, but you don't actually make the sound, you will probably notice that there's many things moving within the structure. That provides activation to the vagus nerve and to the entire nervous system, because we are sending signals and intention to the muscles. So the silent scream is surprisingly physical, and perhaps because we don't actually have to worry about the full-on voice and protecting our throat, we let ourselves go even more. So we can try one together, or I will do one here as an example. I'll direct it a little bit off camera, and it's a kind of a weird, messy, sort of ugly thing, but it can feel so good in a way. So I would just gather whatever sensations I have in my body, whatever feelings, whether they're stories or not, and then just let it out. Whew. Okay, you can feel the heat with that one if you did it with me. I don't need to explain a lot. There are many things that happen in our body. You can feel that release. So this is one to just have in your toolkit whenever you need it. Sometimes I even use it while listening to music and let myself go deeper. Now on to Babble. Babble is a way to transform an argument or discussion that you're having, whether with yourself or even with somebody else, into nonsensical sound. So we keep the energy and we start to break it apart. You can do this I would recommend doing it first for yourself, and then if you have someone who's willing to go there with you, you can do this when you're having a fight. So for example, I might be discussing with myself or about a situation. Maybe I'm angry at a person, maybe I'm angry at myself. It doesn't really matter. But if I'm going through the story, and we all know the kind of rigid tone that comes when you're upset and frustrated, and then I would start to transition that into just nonsensical babble, basically, which could go something like, you know, this thing is happening again. I'm and I would go full energy until I notice that lesson. And what's likely to happen, especially if I'm doing this with somebody else and we're taking maybe turns, is that that energy quickly transforms into silliness and laughter. It is very hard to stay angry and very serious when you are babbling. So it's a wonderful alchemist to transform this charged energy that we don't necessarily want to just swallow down. We want to be able to let it out, but we also want to open it up. So these are my 2 practices for today of how we can work with anger: silent scream, babble, and they have different qualities, but they're both very effective. And somehow they manage to make anger into something life-giving rather than draining. So that's what I have for you today. Thanks for being here and joining me on this exploration. And I look forward to seeing you for the next one.